Stephen A. Smith is running for president. There's no question. Every night, he's just hopping from show to show to show. And so when I see even someone like Stephen A. Smith, who I have no respect for, when I see him do something that I do respect, I'm just going to have to say it and admit it.
Right.
And I'm pleased that he shared his platform with Candace Owens and treated her like a real human being.
Jason Whitlock reacts to Stephen A. Smith running for president. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
Stephen A. Smith is running for president. There's no question. Every night, he's just hopping from show to show to show. You don't think so? Why is he hopping show to show to show?
Well,
The View, Fallon, this podcast, Candace Owens interview. What else could he be doing?
Yeah, he's definitely going the political route. You can tell he has aspirations to go into that realm, but running as president, I don't know if Stephen A. want that smoke. His dirty laundry will be aired out. I don't know if he can handle that on a day-to-day. He will get emotional. He will crash out, and you can't have a president just going off like that every single time. Or maybe you can. Maybe he feels as though if Trump can do it, I should be able to do it too.
Well, he loves having his ego stroked. He really does. And I saw the interview. I thought it was an intellectual mismatch. Candace Owens, I thought, look, if there should be a broadcast personality that should run for president or any type of office, it would be Candace. It is not Stephen A. Smith. I mean, what's that old saying? He's a mile wide and a foot deep. That's him. And I was watching some of that interview, and there was one point where he goes, oh, yeah, this is why I brought you on. I didn't know that. I'm like, oh, God. Well, Stephen, there's a lot you don't know, because you're not that intelligent when it comes to this. You're really not. And you're a bit of a caricature. You like to bloviate. You give great sound bites. But that interview right there would have shown that in a debate setting with more serious people, he would be completely overmatched.
Yeah, as far as a sports debate, he can hold his own against everybody. But with these political debates, I think Stephen A. is underestimating what it takes to be a political debater as opposed to sports debaters. It's two different worlds. So again, Stephen, you got to really think about this. Just got that huge bag from ESPN. Are you ready to go to that route, being a president?
He also said, I would have voted for any Republican except Donald Trump. Again, that's him not having enough guts to take a position. The one thing I do like about Candace, whether I agree or disagree with her or not, because that's irrelevant. No one's going to agree with anybody on everything.
Real talk.
Okay? But when she takes a hardline position, she does not try to soften it in any way. In other words, she plants her flag and she says, this is what I think, and if you don't like it, I don't care. The issue with Stephen A. Smith is I don't think he has guts. I really don't, because every time he says something positive about the Republicans, you can almost do a countdown and say, okay, here's where he's going to try to couch it. But there's other things I don't like about them, but I'm really, and I love this term. This is the biggest cop-out. I am a fiscal conservative, but I'm a liberal socially. That means you're trying to please everybody.
Yeah, Stephen, he's stuck in the middle. He doesn't want to say he's with one side or the other. That's why when he has his criticisms of Biden, he caught a lot of flack. Then he has some criticisms of Trump. So he's all over the place. If you're going to be president or whatever, you got to be able to stand on one side and be able to rock out. You can't just change your opinion if a couple million people are posting comments in the comment section. So Stephen A., you got a lot to think about. Are you ready to go this route? Can you handle the criticism on a day-to-day? Are you just going to crash out and get overly emotional on your podcast? Or are you going to be able to stand on business?
You try to please everybody. You really please nobody.
Steve, I think you're right that he has no guts and maybe doesn't have the stomach for political office. But, I think the same thing could be said of Joe Biden and many that the system generally rewards people without the courage of their convictions.
He was a career politician, though. That's the difference, though. He was into this swamp, swam in it for 50 years, had a magical ability to do nothing but to have people believe, man, that guy's fighting for us, right? But look, as a politician, I believe you have to be able to take hardline stances and stick with them.
Yeah, Stephen A. looked like he just got in this political realm publicly over the last maybe 4 or 5 years. He's on CNN from time to time. He's on Fox from time to time. I know he's cool with Hannity, so maybe they had conversations on his radio show, but just really being public with it and standing on that type of business. Yeah, Stephen A., he's been consistent from what I've been seeing, but still, it's different talking political than being a president. It's two different sides, so maybe he wants to go the more political talk show route, but being a president, again, that's a whole different type of energy.
I hate this fake forced neutrality where if you say one good thing about something here, well, to give the air that you're unbiased, you have to say something you really don't mean nice about the other side. Why?
Can't do that.
At what point? I mean, to me, our jobs as a journalist is to call it down the middle. And people don't understand what that means. That means telling the truth every single time. That does not mean doling out criticism and praise 5-5 each side. That to me is being that right there.
Stuck
you
in
do
the
that
middle.
type of stuff, you know you're being dishonest.
Let me argue just a little bit the other side here, because I can't fully commit to this position, but I can say it's a thought that ran through my mind in real time as I was like, oh, Stephen A. is interviewing Candace Owens. He's having her on the show. He praised her after the show. He praised her during the show. What do you say to someone like me who, and people are about to be bowled over that I'm going to say this, but I thought it took a measure of courage, and I was impressed that Stephen A. Smith interviewed Candace Owens, put her on his platform, and treated her like a normal, smart, someone worthy of being listened to. I thought that took a measure of courage from Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, it was a good look overall for Stephen A. to have Candace on the show. It showed that he's willing to have that conversation, but he's still stuck in the middle because he's not able to go fully on one side just because he got ESPN and Disney on the other side. And you know where they stand with politics, so he can't really fully give it up, but he will interview people and he'll go on other people's platforms, so he has been consistent doing that.
It did. I give him credit for that, but what else was he going to say when I thought Candace talked circles around him in terms of some of the substantive issues as it relates to Zelensky and Ukraine and NATO? He didn't even know what she was talking about, honestly. Yeah. Because when someone is that much more learned or intelligent or well-read or researched on a topic, what else can you say? I mean, the thing is, Stephen A. is getting a lot of credit for stating the obvious. Yeah, well, the Democrats, they have had a rough few months. Stephen, if you were actually paying attention, they've had a rough 4 years.
Yeah,
they did this to themselves. But for him to say, but I wouldn't vote for anyone. I would have voted for anyone in the Republic except Trump. Again, I believe he's playing to his base. He doesn't want a certain segment of America upset at him, because I would argue Trump was the only guy with enough guts to actually take on the Democrats and take the election November 5th, 2024.
Yeah, again, he's trying to please his audience. He has a huge fan base. So again, he's never going to be on one side because he'll know he'll catch a lot of backlash, entering the ESPN office in the morning, getting weird looks. So he's going to say one thing and then say something else on the other side. So I'm not political. I don't really know all the issues, but Stephen A. being a president, it'll definitely be entertaining. You see what he's doing with sports, so you're going to get that entertainment side to politics. So it's going to be interesting to see what Stephen A. Smith does moving forward politically.
Here's why I would say, and you're right, his statements about Trump are cowardly. He doesn't believe them. They're cowardly. It's just pandering. I get it.
A lot of pandering.
But, and maybe... And I don't want to say you're unaware, but maybe you're not so far down the political rabbit hole, particularly as it relates to the media space. But there is a segment of media that want Candace Owens treated like she's Attila the Hun or the worst person on the planet. And how dare you engage with Candace Owens. People will, and trust me, I know it because it happens to me on a daily basis, and it's happened to me for years, and I've seen it happen to Candace Owens now. people will hop in your DMs and tell you, oh, you shouldn't associate with Candace Owens. You should, oh, how could you like that tweet or retweet this tweet? Blah, blah. There's a penalty. And trust me, it's been going on with me for years. There's the little quiet campaign in people's DMs and text messages. Oh, pretend like anything Jason Whitlock says is the worst thing on the planet, or never engage with Jason Whitlock. Again, there are many people in the media who I know very well, are friends of mine, supporters of mine, people that, been friends with for years, but they know there's a price for public engagement with me that they've chosen. Hey, I can't do it. I can talk to you on the DL, but out publicly, can't do it. And I have to pretend like you and your thoughts are beyond the pale. That's where I will, people that they're just baffled by me and just how, and I'm not trying to brag on myself, but I'm committed to being objective. And I'm not trying to brag on myself, but I'm committed to being objective. And so when I see even someone like Stephen A. Smith, who I have no respect for, when I see him do something that I do respect, I'm just going to have to say it and admit it.
Right.
And I'm pleased that he shared his platform with Candace Owens and treated her like a real human being.
Again, solid look again by having Owens on the podcast. It just, makes it look like he's willing to have that conversation. But again, being in that driver's seat is two different things from being a political interviewer and being a president. But I want to know who's going to be the first lady with Stephen A. Smith. Is it going to be Molly Qerim? Who's it going to be? You got to find that first lady. So he got to get his affairs in order to be a president. So again, it's going to be interesting to see if Stephen A. Smith goes this route.